what's good, fam? Welcome to another episode of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. Durs and Jeff coming to you with Curtis, the financial guy.
Yeah.
Curtis Ray, the author of Everyone Ends Up Poor, Why Financial Planning is All Backwards, and How to Fix It. So not only do you address the problem, you talk about how to fix the problem, which is something I'm a huge fan of. We met sitting on a panel with Travis and Maddie's 100K journey. And as we connected, I was telling you how I was dedicating 2019 to the education of money, right? The entrepreneur's MBA through the School of Hard Knocks thing, you know. And before I could get another word out, you're like, time out, read my book. Because
that's how the universe works, man. You called the universe to do something and it brought it to you.
Yeah, man. You know, and it's extremely interesting because, like you were saying before we jumped on the air, people in financial planning, people who manage other people's money are under the employ to protect somebody's wealth, want to argue about some of the principles and stuff that you preach in your book and your methodology. And, you know, your immediate retort is, hold on, we're all on the same side. But I feel like as you become a thought leader in your space and you have just a difference of opinion in terms of how to reach the same goal, if it goes against what's always been done, you're going to meet opposition.
Yeah, people fear what they don't understand.
Yeah.
And they always attack what they don't understand.
Sure.
So it's like, just wait for me. Just listen to what I have to say.
Sure. But let's back it up, because you've been pretty much a serial entrepreneur since forever. But you got a really interesting story. And, you know, you went and wrestled at ASU. It didn't work out. You dropped out of school, and then you jumped right into the granite business.
Yep.
And we really want to hear about losing $2 million in 24 hours. Like that's, as painful as that story may be.
It was actually the best day of my life.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so we definitely want to hear the silver lining behind that. But for everybody who doesn't know how you came to be, because you don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. We talked about this on Subin's podcast in terms of like generational wealth, right? The through the example of your parents and family, your inner circle, if you will, knowing how to make and keep money and keep that pot growing. You don't come from that. So that makes your story even more intriguing. So where did it start for you in terms of learning money, learning business, and, you know, accumulating your wealth?
Yeah, so my parents taught me that charity always help. You know, money was just an object. It meant nothing. Never, ever make a decision based on money. I always say money is the result, not the reason.
Sure.
You know, if you just work your butt off and do your thing, you'll always make money, but never, ever let money cloud a judgment. And so I've never had an attachment to money, but I like winning.
Yeah.
You know, as a wrestler, obviously, I'm A personality.
Yeah.
Right.
And I broke both my ankles in the same year wrestling, and I said, I can't do this anymore.
Okay.
You know, I got married that year. My wife got pregnant that year, and it's like, I got to choose family or wrestling, even though wrestling was my love. And I saw this product. Somebody came to me and said, it's funny, the story I have in my book is that someone came to me and said, Curtis, we should start a Granite Company. There's so much money in granite. And I was like, I like money. You know, I've never had a job before. I'd never had a job up to that point.
Okay.
And then I said, what's granite? In 2003, I'd never met somebody who had granite before. You know, this was right before the boom of remodeling and all that stuff. And so started researching it. And when I become obsessed with something, I become obsessed with it. And so for the next 6 months, I mean, it was 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, just researching what granite is, how kitchen remodeling goes down, all the different things. And I fell completely in love with it.
Okay.
I asked my dad, I said, hey, I want to start a granite company.
Sure.
And he was always supportive. He was a general contractor. So he just work, always provide for the family, but always had just his company and never went outside of very many employees and just did his thing. And he said, okay. He pulled out a line of credit on his house and let me borrow some money. And I started Granite Company. My first job is like, now what do I do? I was 22 years old, never had a job before, and it was just like, okay, let's make it happen. And luckily, I was in a great time frame of 2004 to 2007.
Yeah.
That was just boom, and anyone could have made money at that time.
Okay.
But I learned a lot of stuff in that time. It was make money, lose money, make money, let people borrow money. I mean, all the crazy bad habits that you get with money. And then 2008 happened because my niche, I had a very unique niche that I talk about in the book about efficiency, how you take granite countertops and how they were terribly inefficient and make them efficient. And that's what I have a skill set on, is making things efficient at what they do. And so we made a ton of money really, really quickly. Then I designed a product called Forza Stone, got it patented, took it to the United States. We built it in China, brought it to the United States, got into Home Depot and Rebath and some of these monster companies, built this humongous business where we're doing 60 to 80 kitchens a week and making millions of dollars. And in a blink of an eye, it was all gone. And I had an investor, and my investor didn't agree with one of the decisions I made. We got in an argument with it, and one day he decided that he didn't want to be an investor anymore and take the money out of the account. And for the next 6 months, we fought about it. And on November 1st of 2014, for that 6 months, I was angry all the time. And I was mean to my wife. I was mean to my kids. I was mean to everyone because I felt like somebody I trusted and a friend completely betrayed me.
Yeah.
And on November 1st of 2014, I woke up and I said, I built it once, I can build it again. Called up the lawyers and said, you can have the businesses. I'll sign them over to you. You can have them. I'm tired of this fighting stuff.
Yeah.
I had a 6-month non-compete, so I waited that non-compete out. I didn't know what to do in that time. Luckily, I found a company who wanted to pay me for my services to be a consultant, basically, and kept me alive. And but on that day, I walked away from millions and millions of dollars just for quality of life.
Peace of mind.
Because quality of life is more important than anything. Money is just an object, and that quality of life. But on that day, on November 1st of 2014, I woke up and I said, what did I do wrong? I had to have done something wrong. I did everything right. I grew a business, treated my clients well, treated my employees well, paid well, grew it, did everything. I had no debt. We paid off everything as we came through, and I still lost. Everyone ends up poor. And it's like, I must have done something wrong. And so that kind of started a path over the next 4 years on how money works, how security works. What are the rules of money? Why do some people keep it and some people don't? Why do some people grow it and everyone else ends up poor? It just didn't make any sense. And over the next 4 years, magic happened. Like the true understanding of money and how it works and the simplicity of it. Everyone makes it so terribly complicated, and it's not. It is super easy if you understand the foundation of money itself. And so that's what I do now, is teach everyone there's a foundation and anyone can take advantage of it. And what's nice about this foundation, and I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later, is it does not judge you for anything you've ever done. It doesn't care what your income level is, doesn't care what your debt load is, doesn't care of anything you've ever done in your whole life. If you start today, you will end up financially secure 100% of the time.
Really?
100%.
So what would that foundation be starting out?
There are 4 rules of money. They're my 4 rules of money. I talk about it all the time. And the first rule of money is you have to pay yourself first. You've got to be willing to, you got to understand that you are only working for one reason: to protect your future self. We go to work, we break our back every day, work our hands to the bone, and then we just spend all our money. And every day we just keep spending, and one day we're 65 and we realize we're poor. But if you're willing to pay yourself first, meaning 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever that number is, I make money, the very first person who gets money, before my mortgage, before credit card debt, before vacation, before restaurants, I take 10% of it and I put it away. Then I live on 90 or live on 85 or 80 or whatever that number you come up to. So the first rule of money is pay yourself first. The second rule of money is understanding compound interest. Compound interest is literally the greatest, most important thing you could ever learn your whole life. Albert Einstein, who we deem as, the man, said compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world, the greatest invention man's ever come up with, the most powerful force in the whole universe, and the greatest discovery of all time. And we don't teach it anywhere. You would think that this guy said, if you want any problem in your life to be fixed financially, look to compound interest. And do we teach it in school, in church, in charity, in community, anywhere? No.
No.
And so pay yourself first, understand compound interest, and get that money you just paid yourself growing. Because compound interest in the layman's terms, is money growing by itself without your help.
Right.
I mean, think how cool that is. Money is literally working for you 24 hours a day, growing all the time. So that's how it fixes any problem, because if you're in debt, guess what? Get your money compounding, and now you can pay off your debt with your growth,
Right.
and your money's still growing.
Sure.
Versus pay off your debt and your money's dead. You never see it again for the rest of your life.
Right.
And so everything's just a split mindset. Pay yourself first, compound interest, protect your money at all costs.
Okay.
You cannot invest in things that aren't secure. That's where stocks, even real estate, even other things that just have so much volatility, that is where you make, you lose, you make, you lose. Home run strikeouts, home run strikeouts, home run strikeouts.
Right.
And you find yourself barely scoring at the end of the day.
Right.
But if you put your money in something that has a security blanket on it, that you never lose, then ultimately you can start leveraging.
What falls into that category?
That gets complicated.
Okay.
I try to explain that, but there's a special feature out there inside the stock market. It's called options.
Yeah.
And options give you a 0% floor security and then a cap of about 11, 12%.
Okay.
And so you just get singles and doubles all day.
Yep.
You never strike out. You never hit a home run. And most people can't embrace that.
Okay.
They literally can't embrace, like, when everyone else is getting 20, 25, 30% on their money. Oh, I'm only getting 11. No, because when they lose 40,
Right.
you break even.
It all comes out in the wash.
It all comes out. But the 0 to 11.5 will actually outperform the
Okay.
home run strikeouts.
Sure.
But it's not emotional. It's boring.
Uh-huh.
You
Yeah.
get none of that instant gratification of, oh, I made a ton of money this year. No,
Right.
it's slow and steady, singles and doubles. There's that movie that came out, Moneyball.
Yeah.
The A's came out with that theory that, hey, singles and doubles, more often than not, will beat home runs and strikeouts.
Yep.
And everyone called them crazy, And so by getting yourself into a system that has a floor, still a pretty good top, but no risk to striking out, that's where you make your money.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't realize with compound interest, although it's money making money for you all the time,
Yeah.
the reverse effect is catastrophic. Negative compound interest has up to double the effect of positive compound interest. And what that means is, if you have $100,000, let's just say, or 10,000, doesn't really matter the number, and you lose 50% of it, you now have 50,000. If you gain 50% back, you think you broke even, right?
75.
You don't. You have 75,000.
Right.
Loss of 50 takes a positive 100 to break even. So
Yeah.
you can lose a bunch of money and then grow a ton, and you just barely find yourself break even.
Sure.
Where if you had $100,000 and the market crashed 50% and you just had a 0% floor, you broke even that year,
Yep.
and then it gains you 11%, 10% that year, you're at $110,000.
Yeah.
Where they're at 55. And it takes them 4 or 5 or 6 years just to break even.
Sure.
But the stock market goes down every 4 to 5 or 6 years. So you never really break even. It just is
Right.
kind of gradually going up, but then you lose and go
Right.
up. And so that protect your money at all costs, I call it in my book, it's chapter 11. It's called the 0% floor.
Okay.
Meaning you can't lose. The ultimate feature. And everyone else calls it a downgrade or a wash or something that is, secondary. Oh, the only reason people take 0% floors is because they're not confident in their ability to trade stocks or the speculation of getting the next great stock. And I'm just like, no, that protects you from downside. It
Yeah.
protects you from the effects of negative compound interest, which ultimately allows you to do the fourth rule of money: secure leverage.
Okay.
Secure leverage. Those two words are typically polar opposites. You
Sure.
can't have security and leverage in the same sentence. Everything that is leverage is tremendously risky unless you've already eliminated the risk.
Right.
Now, through secure leverage, you're only getting 0 to 11 and you're getting these singles and doubles all day. Now you start getting triples and home runs because you did the first thing first, and that is protect your money at all costs. So those 4 things: pay yourself first, compound interest, protect your money at all costs, and secure leverage. Anyone, no matter who you are, making 20 grand, 30 grand, $1 million, doesn't matter. You will 100% of the time end up financially secure.
Love it. So where do you start looking? So if you know those 4 principles, where do you start looking for somebody who is new to the game, doesn't know where to put their money in options or anything, has no background or history and knowledge about that, where do you start?
Well, before 2017, it didn't exist.
Okay.
So that's the funny part is people go, Curtis, sounds too good to be true. It sounds too good to be true. But in my book, I think it's chapter 9, I have this chapter called The Evolution of Money. And I say why it started in 2017 and very few people understand it is because in 1940, Albert Einstein started talking about compound interest.
Right.
And if you want to fix your life, look to compound interest. Then 1975, a guy named John Bogle, who started Vanguard, had to say, slow and steady wins the race. Let's go indexed funds. Let's just straight on go indexed funds, and it will be cheaper. You'll get better rates of return, and you don't need a money manager. Then 1997, the life insurance world said, hey, we want to get into financial planning. We're going to create this thing called an indexed universal life. And this indexed universal life is going to be a hybrid between insurance benefits and indexed benefits, but it had lots of problems to it. Then in 2012, they fixed a lot of those problems, and they created a better version of the IUL that now solved a lot of the cost issues, the problems that Dave Ramsey and some other people talk about often, why indexed universal life is so bad. But then my brother and I in 2014 had to look at the IUL and say, wow, that is a really cool platform, but it's flawed. It's flawed, and everyone knows it's flawed. But if you make these tiny little tweaks to it, all of a sudden it totally kicks butt.
Interesting.
And in 2017, it got finished, and we put it through patent pending. The whole system is called MPI, Maximum Premium Indexing. It's a life insurance product that eliminates the expensiveness and problems of life insurance, bound inside of an indexed fund that has the security of cash, that has the leverageability of real estate, all mixed into one thing. Because real estate guys are great at leveraging, but they have no security. Insurance products are really good at tax advantages, but they're really expensive. Cash is protected. Index funds are slow and steady wins the race. If you merge all four of those together, all of a sudden you have this really cool product called MPI. And the funny story is this company called, everyone's heard of,
Never heard of
multi-billion-dollar business, heard about my system that my brother and I created. And they go, sounds too good to be true. There's no way you can take a la carte, the best of the four major systems, and merge it into one system. And I go, why not? Because at the end of the day, what is this right here? It is the best of 5 or 6 different things. Your day planner, your cell phone, your laptop, your Netflix, everything. I mean, everything into this tiny little device that merged everything into one to make it the world better, right? So why not a la carte everything you want and put into one product? And I said, that's impossible, Chris. There's no way that works. And I go, tell me where it doesn't work. Because on the math, when I show MPI versus everything else, it outperforms everything by 400%. Not 10%, not 50%, not 100%, 4 times more retirement income than any other product out there, bar none.
Damn.
And no one's ever proven against that. They bring me their best products. Show me what you've got. I love to learn, and they bring stuff to me, and I say, well, here's where this is where it fails. This one thing is where you break. And I'll stop. Took the system for 2 or 3 months, had their actuaries try to break it over and over. Monte Carlo tested it, all these different stresses on it. And they end up calling me and saying, we would like to be partners with you on this.
Interesting.
And so
congrats on that.
That was middle of 2018.
Solid.
On that day, I said, I'm going to write a book that explains how it all works. And now I go to podcasts and keynote speaks and live events and say, everyone, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what position in life you have, no matter how much debt load you have, we can fix it. So
I love that, man.
What I find interesting about the whole thing and what holds people back from getting out of whatever hole they're in, they can't convince themselves to play the long game, right? Because you say that
it's all about the long game,
right? Well, you say that no matter where you're at, if you start practicing these principles today, you can get out of it. But you won't be out of it tomorrow. And that's where people fall off the wagon, because it's such a pain point for them. They can't withstand this new discipline to get out, to break the habits that got them into the spot in the first place.
And it's crazy because The rule number one to money, and I get this from a book called Richest Man in Babylon.
Love it. Yeah.
I write in my book, I say, if you want to read the second best book ever written, read Richest Man in Babylon. Next to this book, right?
Right.
But that book is just so amazing because this richest man in Babylon guy is like, the poor people were asking him, how do we become rich? And he goes, only one thing you need to decide today. And if you're willing to decide this right now, you will be financially secure. And they're like, what is it? What is it? Tell us the great secret. Invest into what? And he goes, nope, pay yourself first. If you're willing to pay yourself first right now, in this exact moment, that is the only decision you need to make, because everything else is already there. Compound interest account, secure leverage, all this stuff's already built.
Right.
But I can't go to anyone and convince you to pay yourself first.
Right.
That's a decision you have to make. And the most fascinating thing about pay yourself first is you think, I live paycheck to paycheck. There is no way I could take off 10% off my income and put it towards myself, which who's the very first person who deserves some type of benefit from your hard work?
Yourself.
You.
Sure.
You know, it's so backwards how we've been trained to pay this, and end up with nothing.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to pay yourself first, literally magic happens. Because 2008 is a prime example. We all made X amount of dollars in 2007.
Yeah.
We all made X minus a lot in 2008. We all made a lot less money, right?
Yeah.
But what happened to our life? Nothing. We still went out to eat.
Yeah.
We still took a vacation.
Right.
We still drove a car.
Yeah.
Nothing changed in our life. At that moment, our boss comes to us and says, hey, you're making 75 grand. I got to lower you to 60 or 55 or 40. And you come home and you talk to your wife and you're like, what am I going to do? We're going to die. You know, there's no way we can afford it. But guess what? We're human beings. And what happens when our back's up against the wall?
You adapt.
Figure it out.
We always figure it out. We adapt. And so no matter what, if you take 10%, and you set it aside starting right now in this exact moment.
Yeah.
And you live on 90, even though your brain tells you there's no way I can make that happen.
Sure.
All of a sudden, within 1 month, you didn't even notice. You've now done a principle in your life that has changed your life forever. And in 20 years from today, you're completely retired. That's all it took.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, but I wanted to go on vacation. I wanted this. I wanted that, all the different things. Then go get a side hustle. Go mow lawns on a Saturday if you want to go on vacation. How important is your financial security to you? Because if it legit is important, pay yourself 10%, do whatever else you got to do to live. And that's the only decision you have to make, and all of a sudden it all works out. And then you'll find out, and if you're 20 years old and you're retired at 40 or 30 at 50 or 50 at 70 or whatever that number is, you'll look back on that moment that you decide to pay yourself first and say, best decision I ever made in my whole life, bar none.
Sure.
And they're like, oh, no, well, who you marry is more important. Nope, it's not. Because if you're financially secure and you set goals, guess what? Your marriage has a much higher likelihood of surviving.
Right.
The number one reason for divorce is financial problems.
Yeah.
You know, and if you and wifey come together and say, hey, we're going to pay ourselves first and have goals and understand the rules of money and dedicate it and all that stuff, all of a sudden, guess what? Your life is better. Your wife is happier. Everything works out, and you're retired sooner. And retirement has nothing to do with not working. That's where people get, oh, I'm not working. No. Retirement has to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with whom you want.
Right.
That is the goal right there. That is the ultimate goal of freedom and happiness is doing what you want, when you want, where you want, with whom you want.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with what you're saying. So for somebody like listening to the show that has a 9-to-5 in a corporate job, and do they invest in a 401k, or do you say completely forget about that and go?
Completely forget about it.
Okay.
Because 401k can't satisfy the third rule of money. Protect your money at all costs.
Right.
And so when you look at it, when you look at all the different platforms out there, get a rental home, 401k, all these things, is if they don't satisfy all four,
Okay.
you're not optimizing your money. They're still good.
Sure.
Everything is good, but there's good, better, best.
Yes.
Do you want good, or do you want better, or do you want best?
Right.
Because it's available to everyone.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the world has tricked.
Yeah,
the
it's
financial
true.
world has tricked everyone believing that the 401k is God sent, that it is be all end all, that do a 401k, even with company match. Look, we're giving you free money. You
Right.
got to take it. What really happens in that scenario is they're making a ton of money off you,
Yeah.
so they're going to push that on you. So my suggestion always is stop funding your 401k immediately and get it into a real account.
Okay.
An account that has the features and benefits you need, but people go, oh, but the free money. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter because that free money is in a system that's broke.
And you can't even access it for
Until
you
59 and a half. And,
Yep.
and so it's one of those things. There's so many limitations. I talk about it in chapter 3, why it's called the risk pyramid and the 4% rule, why the 401k will never it is impossible to make you money. A lot of people, have you guys heard of the 4% rule? There's this, if you Google, and anyone who's watching this, Google right now the 4% rule.
Okay.
And it will come up on Google or Investopedia or whatever. It will say the 4% rule. The rule of thumb on how much a retiree should withdraw from their nest egg to maintain account value for 30 years. Basically meaning, take out this much money and you won't run out of money before you die.
Right.
Now, the goal is not to run out of money before you die.
Right.
And at 4% of your nest egg per year, there's a 100% probability, according to statistical market, that you won't run out of money. 4%. That means you can have $1 million in your account and you're supposed to retire $40,000 a year. Any more than that, you will run out of money. 500,000 is $20,000. 200,000 is $8,000.
Right. You can't live on it.
You can't live. A little Social Security, 20, 25 grand.
Right.
The average retiree retires on 31,000 a year.
Yep.
31,000.
Shit.
And that is why the book is called Everyone Ends Up Poor, because 99% of people retired on 50 grand a year or less. 99%. Is 50 grand poor? No.
Right.
Is it doing everything you've always dreamt of doing? No. There's not enough money.
Yeah.
And so the 401k IRA, Roth IRA, unfortunately, just are designed as investment platforms, not income producing platforms. And you have to know the difference between money growing and actually producing money spendable.
So dive into that, because that is a very clear distinction that you just made, an investment platform versus passive income.
Yep.
Right. An income producing asset. So, but it's easy to confuse if you're not in the know one for the other. So what is the exact difference?
So I say there's 4 things that produce income, and they're in order of importance.
Okay.
And unfortunately, this 4th one is what everyone tells you is the most important. Every financial advisor out there in the world, every talk show guru guy out there will say, this is the most important.
Okay.
Nest egg value, account value, accumulated value. How much money? Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram that says the $1 million portfolio. You know, the $1 million nest egg. That is the goal, is to get $1 million in this portfolio. And what they don't realize is that is literally the 4th most important thing. But there's 3 other things that are more important than that one.
Okay.
And the first most important thing that you can possibly have in your portfolio to produce income is security. You have to have security. Protect your money at all costs. Without that, you can never produce income.
Okay.
Because by the time you get to retirement age, you have to take all your money and put into something really secure, which is called bonds or rentals or things like that that kill all your income potential. So security is the first most important thing. Then how much compound interest are you getting in your later years? Not your early years, the home run strikeouts versus singles doubles. And so in a traditional account, you're getting really aggressive rates of return in your younger years. You know, stocks will get you lots of money. They're great investments. You'll get 9-10% rate of return in your early years, your 20s, 30s, even early 40s. You're getting 9-10% rate of return in your money. And you're like, oh man, I'm totally kicking butt right now.
Yeah.
I am making lots of money. And then Armageddon happens. You're getting close to retirement. We got to take your stocks and start converting them to bonds. Now it becomes a stock bonds portfolio. And now you're only getting about 6% rate of return in your money. Then you hit 60. Stocks to bonds even more. And 50% stocks, 50% bonds, and you're only getting 3 to 4% interest in your account. You've turned off all your ability to make income. Because your income is a replenish. You know, how much money is your account making for you every year? And you turned it off. Because the 401k IRA and Roth IRA are built in risk, inside of risk.
Okay.
That's why it's called the risk pyramid. And so you know, protecting your money is the first most important thing, and then how much compound interest can you maintain in your later years? Inside our MPI account, we only get 7 to 8% rate of return on our money. And financial advisors go, oh, well, 7 to 8, man, I can get that in normal stocks all day, every day. I can get an index fund that beats that all day, every day. Except for, because we're built in security, we're getting 8% in our 20s and our 30s and our 40s and our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So our replenish is double. So what happens to our income? We've doubled our income, literally doubled the income off of doing nothing besides no headache, killing the risk and not having the anxiety of ups and downs of stock market. But you have to have the vision of long term.
Okay.
What does it look like long term? How much are we getting later on in life? And the third most important thing is liquidity.
Yeah.
Is it liquid? Equity in a house is dead. It does nothing for you. So I know a bunch of friends who go, Curtis, I got millions of dollars in equity. I got these 3-4 houses paid off. I'm going to be okay. How much income does it produce you? $4,000 a month in rental income. You have $2 million in equity and you get $4,000 a month off it, and you're happy with that? Like $2 million in a traditional compound account will get you $200,000 a year. But you're happy with $4,000 a month because some real estate convention told you to buy a bunch of houses and make them rentals, and all your money ends up being trapped in equity, so it's illiquid, and you get no income off it. And then the last thing is your net value, your net worth, your assets, your account value. But this account value means nothing if you haven't done the other three. But unfortunately, 401k, IRAs, and real estate, are they protected? No. So you have to convert them to rentals. Rentals are pretty protected, but are they getting you lots of growth in your later years? Rentals kill that. You don't have you don't make any money off it. It's just a rental, flat line for life. Maybe increasing 2% per year or something. Sure. And are they liquid? No, you got equity or trapped till 59.5 and all the other things, and then your account value. So that is how you produce income. It sounds like crazy talk to a lot of financial advisors. It can't be that easy. Nope, it's that easy.
Yeah.
You just have to see it from a different vision, a different direction. Like, no, everyone focuses on how you make more money. I focus on how you keep it and how you optimize it. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter how much you make if you don't optimize what you keep. So.
And, that's extremely interesting that's the lens that you're coming at the game with. It's a very simple statement, and it usually goes in one ear and out the other, but it is 100% true. It has absolutely nothing to do with how much you make. It has everything to do with how much you keep. We were just talking about a guy that we know runs his own business, and I bumped into him a couple of months ago, and he knows how to make more money. He's always talking about the hustle, right? But I say I learned a long time ago that success leaves clues, and he's still in the same boat he was in years ago. Like, nothing has changed. Even though he's potentially making more than he's ever made, nothing has changed, right? So he's not executing on those principles in terms of keeping money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's crazy how simple it is. Like, people are like, well, I want to retire. I mean, every millennial in the world, I'm going to be retired by 30 years old. Right. Give me a break. Who told you that? But it actually is possible. Well, because math inside of compound interest, it literally, here's kind of some basic math. Sure. $5,000 a year. Who can save $5,000 a year? Almost everyone. If you really buckled down and made it did whatever it took to make it, you can do that. $5,000 a year for 30 years produces a 6-figure retirement for the rest of your life. Okay. $10,000 a year for 20 years produces a 6-figure income for the rest of your life. $50,000 a year for 10 years produces 6 figures. So you want to be retired in 10 years, save $50,000 a year. Is that impossible? No, not for a lot of small business owners. Right. And it's not that hard, but think about that. 6-figure income for the rest of your life without the stresses and anxieties of trading. So it's just doing it by itself every year. So pretty simple.
Right. And it's like letting go of your ego too when it comes to money, because like liabilities, assets. Like, I look at purchasing a car, for instance. I have the same car I've had since I was in college. And it's like, my mindset is like, why would I buy another liability if I'm not making the assets to cover the cost of a car? So say I wanted, just say like a Honda that costs $20,000 a month. So in college, I told myself, it's like, if I want that car that costs $20,000 a month, I have to be making $20K or more a month to purchase that car so I can pay it off in one payment instead of being in debt to this liability. So my assets always have to cover my liabilities before I make any type of purchase on a liability. Yep.
Of course. And then that's why, it's called keeping up with the Joneses, man. You always got to buy the next thing. And I tell people that. I walk into appointments and I tell people, I go, the very first thing is like, are you willing to pay yourself first right now, starting this exact moment? And if they say no, or I don't know, I say, then I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah, not speaking the same language.
Until you're ready for that, because it does, pay yourself first does mean you might not be able to buy the boat because your neighbors have a boat. Right. Or you might not be able to have the big lifted truck, that no, everyone thinks you're rich, but yet you're like so indebted that you don't even know what's going on. And it's like, how about you look at your future and do everything necessary to protect you, your wife, and your kids.
Right.
And stop thinking about what other people think about you, you know, and it all works out. And you can still have all that stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
But delay it 5 or 10 years. Because once your money's compounding, man, it is just bringing money in.
Right.
And then you can start doing the stupid stuff with your money. You know?
That's true. It's the damn truth.
But you earned it because you did the most important thing, and that was pay yourself first, compound that interest, protect it, and then leverage it. And then all of a sudden, 10 years down the road, it's like, my money is now working for me 24/7, and now I can start living the life I've always wanted. But there's steps to this, and you cannot you can't go in the wrong ways. You can't cheat the system. And if you do, you will end up poor.
Right.
Dude, it's the damn truth, man. Because you look at a lot of things, what you're talking about, people rather show off than show up. And the showing off portion is what gets people in deep kimchi or deep water, because it's just like you're not thinking about the future self. It's like, let me look good for this person that I don't give a fuck about. The people I don't care about. You know, like sort of like that methodology, that mindset. But once you let go, and I found myself, once I let go of the ego, because my 20-year-old self was like, I'm going to get that fucking Lamborghini, and I'm going to fucking spin on these cats. You know what I'm saying? But then my older self, once I created a business and started making up more money, I was like, I like seeing fucking money in my account instead of blowing $400K on some bullshit car that's going to sit in my damn garage while I'm sitting on the damn computer all day. You know what I mean? It's like the mindset changes.
Well, the other thing I realized, you know, in researching and modeling really successful people, the people that are really killing it financially and living their best lives in combination don't look like, you know, the Kardashians. You know, don't spend,
they're modest,
like rappers. You know what I mean? They live they live on par with their socioeconomic status, but they live modestly at that level. And a lot that is so overlooked. Well,
here's what's crazy is that, like, you know, I live a pretty liberal life. Like my wife, I've got 5 kids. We go out to eat off and all that stuff. And I found out that it takes about $150,000 a year to do whatever you want whenever you want.
Okay.
That's not that much money. You know, it's a lot of money, but it's not that much money. But I like do whatever I want whenever I want. And that's all. So anything above that, I save 100% of it. You know, every single time, every single year, even some of that, you know, I could cut back easily, but it's like, how can you? I see these people make $1 million a year and then they still end up dead broke. I'm like, what did you spend it on? Because I go out and eat 6 times a week. Like, you know, my wife doesn't really like to cook. Sorry, wife. I'm sorry. Oh God, this is live, right? And it's just crazy how, like, people just blow through money, and everyone to their own. You know, it's like, if you're single and you're 20 years old, you can legitimately live a pretty sweet life at $30,000 a year. So you should be saving every single dollar possible above that if you make more than that. And if you only make 30, then you should be living off 20 and saving 10. You know, all that stuff. And one thing, you know, all these people, they're trying to live up, you know, keep up the Joneses and all that stuff. The message I have to them is, okay, you got yourself in a bunch of debt. You feel terrible, you're embarrassed. It's completely embarrassing that you act like you're rich and you're not, and you don't want anyone to know. Well, it doesn't matter. Today is your day. It starts over. It starts over. You can start right now and start the principles of financial planning, and you can be 100% back to where you want to be in 10 to 15 years. But it's going to take that long. You know, so don't feel shame. I mean, I get a lot of people who are there, like, literally shamed. They feel shamed and they're embarrassed and all stuff. And I go, you know what? The great thing about compound interest and pay yourself first, it will never judge you for anything you've done. It only wants to take care of you and make sure your future self is as protected and as secure as possible. So it is here every moment of every day, standing here, inviting you to come to their side, saying, today is your day to start, no matter what your debt load, income level, if you've been divorced or you've done stupid crap in your life or whatever. Today is your day. Compound interest and pay yourself first will always be there with arms wide open.
See, that's a message that people need to hear, because when you're going through the world as a kid growing up, you're not hearing people preach this message. You're just seeing the fancy cars, the big watches, and the shame comes over you. Like the FOMO. You compare yourself to the next man, the next woman. You look at yourself and you go to like a financial planner, and it's like they're scared because it's the fear of looking like somebody seeing your true reality. You know, and the fear of money is what keeps people from these conversations. Is because they're not they don't have enough knowledge about it, but then they don't want to let people know that they don't know about money.
Yep.
Right.
You know, but it's not taught like you're
And
talking
guess
about in
what?
school.
No one knows about
Nobody
money.
knows.
Yeah.
I mean, I was making millions of dollars and I knew nothing and I lost
Right.
it all,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But if I would have started at 22 years old and said, hey, you know, I'm making a couple $100,000 a year. I'm going to set aside $100,000 a year every year. At year 10, when my whole thing blew up on me, guess what?
You
I'd
still-
had $2 million in that account compounding at $200,000-300,000 a year every single year on top
Sitting
of
pretty.
itself. And pay yourself first, man.
If you're
Damn, that's good. I love that.
That's a very interesting point. Like just looking at the sheer math, right? Let's say you get $1 million liquid and you want to live off the interest, right? So at 2%, that's $200,000 a year. Or what is that?
Well, 2% would be $20,000. That's the
Yeah.
problem with the 401k and IRA.
Okay.
They're the 4%. They're gaining about 3 to 4%.
Got it.
Inside the MPI system,
Sure.
at 15, 20 years, you're gaining between 12 and 14% on your
Okay.
money.
Cool. Yeah.
And so $1 million in the account produces 120 to 140 grand a year.
So if you're
every year.
responsible about that, you can't outspend it.
It would be difficult.
Right. Okay.
It's difficult to outspend it.
Sure.
And it comes every single year.
Right.
And you weren't even working for it. So
Sure.
it's just you did the right steps, and that's pay yourself 1st, compound it, protect it,
Yeah.
and leverage it. And all of a sudden, for the rest of your life, you do what you want when you want.
It's like a dividend.
It is.
It's always paying.
Yeah.
It's always paying.
How would somebody access the MPI system from the ground level?
Well, right now, it's, you know, I'm the only person in the whole world who provides it.
Yeah.
So I teamed up across the country. I don't allow anyone to sign up without knowing what we're doing.
Okay.
So I've had some people go, Curtis, I trust you, just set me up. I'm like, nope.
You got to
I
know
am an
what's going on with
educator.
your money.
You have
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah.
I am not doing this for money. You know,
Yeah.
do I make money? I do make money. But this is an education change the world type thing.
Sure.
Because the moment that people understand how money works,
Yep.
society changes in a whole.
Sure.
You know, Babylon, the city of Babylon was what? Thousands and thousands, thousands years long. And people go, well, how'd that city last for so long? And the religious world tries to get them the negative side. Oh, because they loved money. Everything was about money, 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 money.
Yeah.
I go from the more practical standpoint and say, because they understood money. If you understand money, everything changes in your life.
Yeah.
The moment you understand how compound interest works, you'll do everything in your power to put as much money into it as possible.
Yeah.
Because nothing will secure you more, nothing will fulfill you more, nothing will make you feel more confident
Yeah.
than knowing that your future is 100%, no matter what happens. No matter if your business goes out of business, no matter your partner screws you, you get divorced, any of that stuff happens that are financial liabilities to us. Because you did right and got your money in compound interest, it all works out in the end.
Yeah.
And that's why Babylon was so successful, is because every single one of their citizens were basically forced to understand how money works.
Yeah.
They taught it in school. They taught it everywhere. The richest man did these courses where he's just like, you know, hey, here's how money works. And it's a fascinating book on that book. And, obviously it's partially made up, partially true.
Sure.
But
in principle,
it's
so
legit.
fascinating.
And the king came to him and said, hey, how did you become so rich? He's like, I'll teach everyone how to do it.
Sure. Yeah.
And he was a slave at the time. He was some poor bum slave. And he saw some rich dude on a chariot and said, hey, I want to be like you. He's like, do you really want to be like me? And he goes, yes. He's like, are you actually willing right now to make the decision to be like me? He goes, yes. Pay yourself first. That's all it takes. Everything else we'll figure out.
Yeah.
You know, how you get compound interest, how you secure it, all that other stuff. But if you're willing to take 10% of what you make, it all works out in the end.
Yeah.
So super cool. I was talking to a financial advisor and he was trying to like, hey, let's co-opt. And he's like, what's your pitch, Curtis? And I go, my pitch is every single problem you've ever had in your whole life can be fixed by pay yourself first. And not just money wise.
Right.
You fight with your wife too much, say a good thing about her before you fight with her. You just paid yourself first. Because now there's less time to fight with her. And it's funny because people are like, it can't be that easy. It actually is, because you only have 24 hours of the day. And 24 hours are filled with something.
Yeah.
So if you replace the negative, instead of focusing on the negative, I'm not going to fight with my wife. That's focusing on the negative.
Right.
And you inverse say, I'm going to pay myself first by I'm going to say good things to my wife. You've now eliminated part of your energy, your 24 hours a day, and put good in there.
Sure.
You want to, I love this. I need to lose weight, right? Oh, I'm so fat. I got to lose weight. I got to lose weight. No, you'll never lose weight doing that.
Sure.
Replace it. I'm going to drink 1 bottle of water before I drink any soda. What happens automatically? You drink less soda.
Right.
Because your body only needs 100 ounces a day or whatever else. And so all these little things that pay yourself first fixes every single problem. Every human problem can be fixed with pay yourself first. And debt, it's like, oh, Curtis, not to bag on Dave Ramsey, but the whole, I got to get out of debt before I can financial plan.
Right.
That's like saying I have to get skinny before I can work out.
Right.
It doesn't make any, it's backwards. The whole thing is backwards. No, focus on good, focus on growth, which you'll pay off your debt through that.
Sure.
Because if you pay off debt, it's just dead money, you know? So it's just the simplest thing.
Yeah.
Changes the whole world.
Right. No, it's so interesting. You know, we fight that battle in CrossFit all the time. You know, why aren't you bringing your friends in the gym? You know, they're so enamored with the results that you're getting. Oh, they don't want to come in because they feel like they got to get in shape first. I'm like, well, we're never going to see them because they're never going to feel like they're in good enough shape to start. You know, I tell people that are looking to have kids, start families, get married, stuff like that. The time will never be ideal. The house will never be big enough. You'll never make enough money. You know, like those are all very real things because we want the best for those that we love, you know, but those are also, they're not non-starters. You know what I mean? Like,
because when our backs up against the wall, what happens?
You figure it out.
We figure it out. You want to have a kid? Go have a kid.
You know, when I was getting the gym started, I had the offer on the table from my investor, and I was in the middle of grad school, and I wasn't excited about taking on both simultaneously. And a great mentor of mine, who was also a client at the time, I was like, look, I've got this really awesome opportunity, but I'm in the middle of fucking grad school, and I don't want to play the two against each other. I don't know if I can win both those games. And he's like, you know what the awesome part about being a human being is? I'm like, what? And he's like, you figure it the fuck out.
Yep, every time.
When was the last time somebody offered to make your dream come true? I said, never. When do you think it's going to happen again? I don't know. And he's like, one in the hand's better than two in the bush, my friend.
Yep.
You know, figure it out.
Make it happen.
And, you know, like you were saying, there's just inherent adversity that comes with changing a habit pattern or achieving something great. Like that's inevitable. You can't get around it. But at the end of the day, as I sit here with a master's degree and the #1 CrossFit box in America, it was all worth it.
Yep.
You know, the sleepless nights, you know, like all that stuff, totally worth it.
And that's you know, going out there and kicking butt and doing your thing is what entrepreneurs are designed to do, man. We're out there kicking it. But
yeah,
why my story, I believe, is so resonating to so many people is that's 1% of people. No, that's a 1/10 of 1% of people have the ability to go do that. Go school, build, all simultaneously, go out there and just make it happen and totally kill it. Why I believe financial planning has been so difficult and is such a taboo and no one wants to talk about it is because it is difficult.
Right.
And you go to anyone else and it's about lay out your budget, do this, cut out this, work on that. And I don't want to have to listen to that. Are you kidding me?
Sure.
I got friggin' 5 kids at home and I'm doing my thing. There's no way I'm doing a budget.
Right.
I don't even know how to balance a checkbook. I just need to make sure there's money in the account, right? But can you go to someone and say, can you pay yourself first? And that's why it's been embraced so well. And in the last 3 months, I mean, I only launched this book 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I've sold thousands of copies. I have so many people call me every single day because they're like, we've never read anything like this. No one's ever told us anything like this, that money is simple. Are you kidding me? And money is simple.
Yeah.
And I went to this other convention. I paid for this, and I went to the school and did all stuff. And it's like these 19 steps of financial security, and you got to do all this, and then every single day. And if you mess up, you're shamed.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're just like, F it, I can't do it anymore. I'm just the whole thing's messed up. It's too hard. There's no way I can budget.
Yeah.
But then when I tell them, what if it was just as simple as put yourself first? That's all it takes. That's the only decision you have to make right now in this moment.
Yeah.
Is 10% of your paycheck. Boom. Everything else, you got to figure it out. And I don't care about your budget. I don't care about your credit cards. I don't care about your spending habits. I don't care about your vacations or the cars you drive or anything else. I'm not going to shame you for driving a Maserati even though you make $40,000 a year. As long as you put yourself 10% away first, I don't care about anything.
Right.
That's not my business. You're a grown adult. You need to figure it out yourself.
Sure.
And if you need more help on other stuff, you want to, you know, because anything, all that's good, but it's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
Unless you pay yourself first. That's got to come first. And if you do that, whatever.
Yeah.
20 years from now, you'll look back and be like, glad I met that guy.
Yeah.
You know?
What's your vision for your company and all the content or books and everything that you're putting out?
So I have a very vast vision of what I'm currently writing my second book.
Okay.
So Everyone Ends Up Poor is my first book, and I wanted to let people understand why your parents are living on low fixed income. Even though your parents had an IRA, had a 401k, had a small business, have rentals, the whole thing, they're still living on low fixed income. Why did that happen? So to understand why the system is broken was the first thing. My next book is called Everyone Ends Up Rich. And it's if you take those 4 principles, pay yourself first, compound interest, protect your money, and secure leverage, 100% of every human being in this world can end up rich. And people go, that's impossible. There has to be winners and losers, and that's not true. Right. There are only home runs and strikeouts and that type of winner-loser mentality. My one beef with real estate is the fascination of capitalizing on down markets. Think about what capitalizing on down markets actually means. Taking advantage of someone else's misfortune.
Sure.
Like, we build a system to capitalize on someone else losing. And that is so backwards. Like, why would we want to capitalize on someone else's losing?
Right.
It should be we all get singles and doubles and we all win. But we're content with slow and steady wins the race. And inside this system of Everyone Ends Up Rich, and that book is going to be so life-changing to the world. Like, I'm putting so much time. I have a bunch of people collaborating with me on it, and it is going to revolutionize money in itself, and I am so excited for that. It's going to be launched in about 90 days. I'm going to do 1 chapter per week for 10 straight weeks. It's 10 chapters, edit it for 2 weeks, have it on the market by May or June.
Love it.
And that's going to talk about, and I make some bold claims, and I was talking to you about this before this. In this book, I make the claim that poverty will cease to exist in 30 years from today. That is my goal. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that is my goal, because Albert Einstein said, if you want to fix any financial situation, and I'm paraphrasing because it's a bunch of his teachings, all how I envision it or embrace what he said, is you have any financial situation your whole life that needs to be fixed, look to compound interest. And so I go around the country right now and I do podcasts and keynotes and live events and just tell everyone, if you want to be financially secure, embrace the idea of singles and doubles. Embrace the idea of slow and steady. Embrace the idea of security first, then go optimize what is out there if you do security first. Get rid of this whole infatuation of instant gratification. I want. Oh, it's going to blow up. Oh, the ground level stock or the Bitcoin cryptocurrency or this or that. All that will do is lead you to a lot of frustration and a lot of shame. Because how did I fall for it again? I fell for this 3 years ago. I fell for it again. I'm going to fall for it another 3 years. But if you can take that out of your life and just say, no, slow, steady, simple, and secure. The 4 S's.
Slow, steady, simple, secure.
And secure. Your life will be okay. And in 15 years from today, this is a funny thing I tell all my clients. In 15 years today, I am renting a full cruise liner. It's going to cost $1.6 million.
Okay.
And it has 3,000 cabins, 3,000 rooms. And I'm going to invite the first 3,000 people. And I'm going to get up on stage. I'm going to be like, I freaking told you so. I freaking told you so. Slow and steady will win this race. Singles and doubles, money ball it all day long. Yeah. We don't need home runs. We don't need strikeouts. And we're going to be on that thing. And I'm going to be like, man, life has changed forever.
Put us on the guest list.
Yep. You the VIP. You get the cabins on the ocean front.
Okay, I like that, baby. I like that.
There you go. Okay. What about you too?
Yeah, I got Max too,
Max
baby.
is coming.
Yeah, Max is coming. No, that's going to be a good day, man. I'm excited for that. But I need people to. The saddest thing that I get is I talk to hundreds of people a week, and the majority of them says it sounds too good to be true. Supposedly, there's this statistic that says 19% of people are early adopters. They'll look at a good idea, they'll research it, they'll break it down, and they'll jump all in.
Right.
And 81% of people just wait and wait and wait. Sounds too good to be true. Sounds too good to be true. And I'm like, what sounds too good to be true?
Right.
That we're going to get singles and doubles. We're not going to get sold in this fake infatuation of $1 billion tomorrow, and we're just going to do it right. I always talk about Tom Brady. I'm a big Tom Brady fan.
Okay.
And I go, why does Tom Brady win all the time? Because he does everything to exactness every single time, and he demands exactness from everyone around him. He's the least athletic dude on the whole planet. Let's be honest.
Sure.
But that man is about exactness, optimizing his tools, and you win. And slow and steady, simple and secure will always win. And those who don't fear it, don't fear change, don't fear sounds too good to be true, don't fear this is how it's always been done. My best friend's a financial advisor. He's never told me anything about it because he's been taught that home runs and strikeouts, you got to try to get more home runs than strikeouts, and that's how you win. No, it's all backwards.
Well, it's interesting because in your book, I remember very distinctly where I'm at, you actually quote that
That guy.
The worst thing that has ever been said in to crush progress is it's always been done this way. I forget who you quoted.
That one guy, I forget his name.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. It's right here in the beginning.
He says, the seven worst words in the human language are "This is how it's always been done," or "That's how it's always been done."
You're not questioning the idea.
It's in here really quick.
My wife always watched him. He's from England. He's got a thick accent, and he does a bunch of Instagram videos. I think he's maybe partially Indian or
Jay Shetty?
Jay Shetty.
Yes.
Yep.
Jay
Here we
Shetty.
go. Page 23, Jay Shetty. These are the 7 words that absolutely ruin everything. We have always done it this way.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good dude right there.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're talking about. Before we let you go, man, I want to know, aside from paying yourself first, what do you do each and every day to empower your journey?
Obviously, my kids, my family is a huge thing. Like my family, it's everything that my kids understand how the game is played, because I want them obviously to have the best opportunities. So my fulfillment, my kids are so funny. I did this Facebook Live video the other day, and I'm completely live, unscripted, completely live, and I'm like, teaching your kids is how, so they don't have to go through what we go through. Because I don't know how old you are, but do you have millions of dollars yet? Already? No. Yes, no, whatever it is. But you should have if you would have understood what we now understand, right? And so my kids will never, ever be in the situation I will ever be in, and they're not going to be trust fund babies, but they're going to understand how the game is played and maximize it. So I'm Facebook Live, and I'm like, watch, my kids know all the rules of money, and my little 6-year-old sitting here, and she's so cute, and I go, Lexi, what's the first rule of money? And she's like, pay yourself first. And I'm like, boom. And then I go to my son Brody, who's 10 years old, and I go, Brody, what's the second rule of money? And he goes, take all your money and put it into a 401k. And I was like, what did you just say? You are dead to me. And he's totally just clowning me, right? And then my 13-year-old comes up to me and goes, no, Dad, Brody's wrong. He goes, I go, Caden, can you please tell these fine people listening to me right now, what is the second rule of money? He goes, take all your money and put it into Bitcoin. I'm like, oh. He goes,
roasting you.
He goes, wait. And after you lose the 90% of your money that you invested in Bitcoin and it devalued 90%, you take that 10% and stick it into whole life. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is wrong with my kids? You're embarrassing me in front of everyone. But once a month, and so getting your kids on the path and making sure your wife feels protected. I mean, I have chapter 6 in this book. It's called The Woman Poverty Crisis, and it talks about women and how women need to understand how money works, and not to not trust a man, but your marriage is so much better when your wife understands how money works. You both work jointly. And,
absolutely. And
it's a goal, and you both all have that stuff. And so make family a priority. Make the things you love a priority. It may not be family and kids, but whatever you find love, go maximize it.
Sure.
Because we're only here for one reason, to be happy.
Right.
To be happy. And luckily for me, my passion is in money, and money brings you freedom. Money doesn't buy you happiness, but it buys you freedom. And freedom is a source of happiness.
Right.
And you can't have it. You cannot be stressed and indebted and all the crap that goes along with money and find pure happiness. It's not possible.
Yeah, that's like a quote I heard. They said, money doesn't bring you happiness, but the lack of money does bring you unhappiness.
Yes.
So just on that mindset. And
Sure.
Curtis, where can everybody connect with you and follow you and everything you have going? Where you're selling your book?
Yep, I'm on Instagram. Curtis the Financial Guy.
Okay,
pretty easy one. Curtis Ray on Facebook. It's just a picture of my book. So my book, Everyone
I'll be
Ends
right
Up
here.
Poor. And on
The
Amazon,
man.
Everyone Ends Up Poor is on there. There's paperback, Kindle, and audio. I did my own audio.
Okay,
so
nice.
I heard my own audio. That was a difficult
I'm
situation.
gonna buy both of them, the audio and the.
Nice. But obviously, I don't even care if people text me and call me. I'm available.
Love
Literally, anyone who truly wants to know, I will always make time for you. So
Love it.
I don't know if I'm allowed to put my number out here or my email
Yeah, do
address or
whatever you want to put out there, man.
So
It's your
if you
platform,
guys,
brother.
if you guys want to email me, it's curtis@suncorefinancial.com. Suncor is SUNCOR. Financial.com, and feel free to text me. Don't call me. I mean, it's 2019. I'm always doing stuff, and people are trying to hit me up. I'm like, I'll call you back, but send me a text message. My number's 480-748-5825. And anyone who wants my time, I give them my time. Like,
Love it, dude.
Literally,
That's huge,
it's
man.
like,
Yeah.
if you want to change your life, let's go do this.
Cool.
I love it, brother.
Love it, man. Go out there, buy the book so that everybody can end up rich. Can't wait for that to drop. And really appreciate everything
Yeah,
you're doing
dude.
for the world, man.
Thank you.
You know,
Seriously.
you're the first person that I've met singing that song and really raising the awareness of the people around you, man. And that's rare. So really appreciate
Yeah,
what you're
brother.
Well,
doing
thank
for
you
the world,
guys for
man.
helping me spread the word,
Oh,
because
100%, man.
it's a platform that the world is big.
Yeah.
And I can only talk to so many people a day.
Trying to help you- Absolutely. We're here to help you cast a wide net, man. Thank
Awesome.
you. Much appreciated, brother.
Looking
Thank
forward to
you.
your next book too, boss.
Support everything
Thank
that Curtis has going on. Follow him on Instagram. He's got a lot to offer, and he is not withholding any of that knowledge and wisdom. So really appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Until next time, guys, feed me, fuel me.